Mr. Happy Living here, and I'm happy to be broadcasting from WITV7 in the beautiful Queen City, Charlotte, North Carolina, USA. Hey, friends, will you join me just for a minute and imagine how wonderful you'd feel living the unique and distinct life you were put on this planet to live, doing work you love, with people you love, in places you love, and all the while creating something of real value to others. That's what I call a life of significance, and I can tell you it makes a very happy life. And so can my friend David Gustin. He's my guest star today, and he's here to share his unique and distinct journey to his life of significance. But before I bring him on, I'd like to share a poem that we created to thank him for being our guest star today. It's called Finance, Fitness, and the Future You, and it goes like this. David Gustin, wise and true, helping you age with strength anew. Fitness, finance, and the future you, he's got the keys to guide you through. Global insights and finance, he knows best. AR, AP, B2B payments, he's passed every test. From markets to muscles, his knowledge runs deep. Tune in for the secrets that you'll wish to keep. Inspiration, motivation, encouragement, and more. David's got enthusiasm and experience galore. He's shaping lives. That's just the start. Tune in and watch his wisdom impart. Hey, David, welcome to the show.
Wow, I'm flabbergasted, Matt. We should just stop right there. That was amazing.
I'm glad you liked it. Why don't you get us started by telling the audience what you're doing these days to make your mark of significance on the world?
Oh, you bet, you bet. So I'm quite excited about it because we were just talking beforehand, close to 30 years, I ran an advisory practice that was focused on helping clients around the world of international supply chain, and in particular, what they call the financial supply chain. So that's, people hear that word financial, it's everything that's not logistical related in terms of moving goods and services. So it can include things like compliance issues, software issues, access to working capital, foreign exchange, all these kinds of things. So I helped a group of clients. My clients tended to be a combination of corporations, insurance companies, banks, and others that were interested in international trade. And it was fun. I mean, I had a chance over the years. I've lived in 7 or 8 different countries. I've gotten exposure to many different markets. And, now, today, even though I'm an American, I live in Vancouver, Canada, and been here close to 30 years as well. So, trade has always been really important and near and dear to my heart, and facilitating that and bringing cultures and people together have been awesome. But, I think like a lot of people during the COVID years, you started to burn out on some things, right? And I started to burn out, and there's just no other way to say it, Matt. I mean, I think I started to figure out what's my transition. And one of the things I've always had a passion for is health. Like I was the guy, Matt, 30 years ago that would be taking his yoga mat from his house and walking down the street. And I remember my neighbor he was in the RCMP at the time, and he'd look at me and think, and he would just chuckle, and laugh, but here's what's this guy doing yoga, right? And I've always been a little bit ahead of the curve that way. I mean, I was doing core training 25, 30 years ago when it was kind of just getting off the ground. I mean, and I'd go to these core training Pilates classes, and I'd be the only guy, right? I'd be the only male, and it was really just a great experience, and I always picked up things from every teacher. And then, about 6 years ago, I think it was 6 or 5 years ago, Matt, I was on the phone with a business colleague in Chicago, and I was telling him, look, I'm shivering a lot. I'm starting to shiver. I never used to shiver. I wore shorts year round in Vancouver, right? If anyone's familiar with the climate here, it's a rainy, Pacific Northwest climate. And so he's like, yeah, you're losing fat brown cells. I said, fat brown cells? What are they? I had no idea. So I started Googling it and doing some research, and, lo and behold, the reality is, I started learning a lot about just, these things about what happens when we age, and it's not a pretty picture, right? You start losing muscle mass. You start losing fast twitch muscles. You start losing your capability to do cardio. Your grip strength goes down. And some of this stuff is like, it's not like a linear relationship. It's exponential. Like there's a real slip off here. And I started thinking, Jesus, this is not a good story, right? And like anything, it used to be like, Matt, and you played sports, and obviously a great football player to be able to play in the pros like you did. I mean, atrophy sets in as you get older. You're like, oh man, my knees bother me. I'm aging. I can't jump anymore, or I can't do this anymore. And you're thinking like, really? Is it really because you just haven't been working those areas for a while? Sure, things decline with age. I mean, it's just a natural progression of life. But when I did a lot of this research, I really started thinking like, there's a way to be able to help people, be able to do the things when they get into their 60s, when they get into their 70s, and when they get into their 80s,
Yep.
to be able to be self-sustaining, to be able to get off a chair, to be able to open a jar of pickles, to be able to put their luggage in the overhead bin, without assistance, to be able to walk with some stability. And I started thinking about how do I create something and start educating the market to help them in this particular area. So this kind of got me down this path of really training for your future self. And I realized that both men and women, we have a lot of gaps, even if you exercise. And let's face it, there's a lot of people out there exercising today in their 40s, in their 50s. I mean, they may be heavily time constrained because they're kind of in the sandwich generation of taking care of their kids and sometimes taking care of their elders as well. So you're packed in there. So they squeeze a workout in, or they squeeze a tennis game or a golf round or a hike once a week, or maybe a bike with their friends on Sunday kind of thing. And you think, well, that's okay and that's great, but it's not enough if you want to be this healthy future fit you. So that's
Yeah.
kind of where, I'll stop there, but that's kind of where I really got started into this path. And quite frankly, like I'm always learning. I'm really excited about it. And
Exciting.
I just, even if I help one person, that's enough.
That's exactly how I started Happy Living. And I said that when I started, I was going to say, let's improve the happy of the entire world. And I said, wait a second, let's put a comma there, one person at a time. And if you can do just one person, that's great. Well, let's move along. Let's talk a little bit about some mathematics and our happy formula, so our friends all around the world can get to know you. It's a really simple formula, David, but it's very powerful too. And it goes like this: power plus purpose equals happy. So let's start with power. What are the things that you do, your personal practices, for building up all the power you need to get things done, whether it's physically or mentally, financially, spiritually, emotionally? In other words, what do you do on a regular basis to create the power you need to take really good care of yourself and your loved ones, and still have plenty of juice left over so you can be a giver to others?
Yeah. No, I think I start my day, Matt, and I'm fortunate enough to be living in Vancouver because we have, there's two things that Vancouver has that, not every city has, and that's ocean and mountains, right? So I start my day, I go down to the beach, I take my dog, and I jump in the ocean. And I
Wow.
don't care if it's, again, I'll speak Celsius or Fahrenheit. I'm bilingual that way, but I don't care if it's, 15 Celsius, 18 Celsius, 13 Celsius. And that, to me, that's almost spiritual, right? Nature is spiritual for me. And so being fortunate enough to live here and surrounded by these mountains and ocean, I try to take advantage of that every day. And I'll tell you what, Matt, the person I am when I get up is not the same person I am when I come out of that ocean, right? You just feel like it's almost like a baptism in a way, right? If I could give you a metaphor. So that's one.
Yep.
Physically for me, and I think you mentioned what physically motivates you. I have a goal that I want to be skiing when I'm in my early 80s or late
Yeah.
70s. Right? I love skiing, right? Because to me, it's just like,
For a reason you can't.
what do they say? What's the saying that there's never a bad day when you're skiing, regardless,
Yep.
right? It's just, even if it's cloudy and stuff, just getting out there in nature. And
Beautiful.
so I realize if I have to, if I have to backcast and say, what's it going to take for me, David Gustin, to be skiing at 80 years old? And again, I'm not trying to say I want to be doing expert runs or even blue runs. I just want to be up
Just
there,
skiing.
right?
Yep.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
skiing. Yep.
I have to have good knee strength,
Yep.
and so I focus on that almost on a daily basis. Did I do anything for my knees today, right? How am I taking care of my knees today, kind of thing. So to me, that's a motivator. And I think just mentally, just the idea that you never know when you're going to be able to help just that one person, right?
Right.
And it may be something you write, It may be something you say, or I'll tell you, I just give you an example. Yesterday, I'm leaving my house at 5:30 to run stairs. And I find this man right up in my cul-de-sac here, flat face down on the trail. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I start talking to the guy, and are you okay? And yada yada. And he's telling me he just fell or whatever. And then I'm trying to figure out, is he demented? Because he doesn't really, he's kind of confused. And to make a long story short, like I think the guy may have had a stroke. He probably was in his mid-60s, but you just never know when those things are going to come around either. So I mean, those are some of the things that I kind of do, I think, just to pack it all in.
And the thing is, if you do it every day, so if you jump in the ocean every day, you can jump in when it's cold or not, and because you develop that muscle memory, and you've taken away the fear. Now, if you stop doing that for a year or so, and you go out there and you're freezing your ass off, it's going to be I don't know if I can get in there. And that's what all this aging stuff is like. If you keep doing it, you can keep doing it.
Not even a year, Matt, 1 week.
Yeah, and you can say, as you get older, do everything you can to stay upright and not fall, or don't get hurt, because any injury takes more time as you get the older you get.
100%.
Really focus on staying healthy and staying active. And you said one other thing that's really important, and gauging your life towards what your objectives are. If you might want to be skiing when you're 80, and somebody else might want to be painting when they're 80. And so they should build their power, their fitness, and all that around that goal. And so it becomes very personalized.
Like I tell people, if you want to paint in your 80s, and that's you better make sure that your hands aren't arthritic, So
Yep.
do things like, I'm just doing something here really quickly, but there's this hand thing, right?
Yep.
Those kinds of things, right?
Yep.
That's a perfect example, because you take it for granted. Oh, I'm going to be able to paint my 80s.
That's the
Hands
key.
could
Yep.
be totally arthritic, right?
Yeah, wonderful. All right, let's talk my favorite power generating concept. It's called a Kaizen state of mind.
Love it.
And it's a beautiful Japanese idea that small incremental improvements add up over time to yield great big results. And I love it because it's based on mindset, not circumstance or age or wealth or anything else. Kaizening life is knowing there's always something I can do better tomorrow than today. And it creates this optimistic, gentle, but powerful and continuous uplifting of my life day after day after day. So, David, how does Kaizen in your life help you increase your power to continuously become more so you can continuously give more?
Look, Matt, I think since I was a kid, it was just wired into me that I always believed that if you got this big assignment, even when you were in university, that if you chipped away at it every day, it's like a tree. Eventually, the tree is going to fall. Or as I like to say, 21 days makes a habit. So if you go back to that example I was telling you about me shivering. So as I started to read about that, it said cold therapy is the answer. And cold therapy, particularly on your vagus nerve, helps stimulate fat brown cells. So I'm like, and this was in January. So I'm like, I really don't want to start taking cold showers, but I know if I start taking cold showers, it's going to be beneficial, or I think it is anyway, if the research is right. So I started out 15 seconds, and I said, I'm going to commit to 21 days. And I just kept building on that, right? And it worked. Actually, I don't shiver as I probably not took away 90% of my shivering, right? So it's just that chip away. It's that Kaizen mentality. I think it's a lot of people get overwhelmed and they don't know where to start, and you just have to take baby steps, man. You really do. It's a discipline.
Yep. As soon as you start, you feel better already because you're starting to do something. You also made me think about one other comment is with the shivering. As you're getting older, pay attention when something's not right. And what you did, you paid attention and you figured something out about it, and you started working on it.
Right.
And that's gonna allow you to age better than you would if you weren't trying. If you weren't making the effort, so it's gonna be better than otherwise would be if you're making the effort. And you're gonna be able to ski. You're gonna be more likely to ski when you're 80 by putting in the effort, even if you don't make it to 80. It's gonna be better than it otherwise would have been. And that's, to me, is the key to aging gracefully. All right, let's talk about purpose, the second element of the happy formula. And I've observed that major life transformations, those great big discoveries of purpose, often sadly come through devastation, addiction, abuse, disease, death, disaster, something horrible strips a life to its core, often resulting in a big, unexpected change. However, in my book, Turning Inspiration into Action, I share the transformational process that I've used to discover the purpose of my life using inspiration. So how about you, David? Was there a specific moment or event or crisis or inspiration that revealed to you the God-given purpose you were meant to live?
Well, I've got a little story related to that. So I have 16. Oh, well, they weren't 16. I have triplets, so 2 boys and a girl. And when they were 16, we took them to Vancouver Island, a place called Tofino. I don't know if you've been up here. And each of the kids took a friend. And so we went from Tofino. I rented a water taxi, and we went to this place called Vargas Island, which is, it's amazing, just amazing. Peace. Nobody else is there. You have this island, beautiful beaches. You see in whales. I mean, it's incredible, right? And what happened was, while we were there, we got a call. We couldn't even believe a phone. We had cell service, but we did get a call like 6 a.m. My wife and I were sleeping in our tent, and we get this call, and we find out one of the boys' fathers had a heart attack and died. That day, literally a few hours ago, right? And so we had to tell the boy, right? And so the man was 53 years old. His dad was 53 years old, and he just, as they say, you get one. Sometimes, we only get one heart attack, right? Because 50% of the time they can be fatal or thereabouts. And that really left an impression on me, because this boy lost his dad, and he never had a chance to say goodbye to his father. And I kind of started thinking, we're not going to live forever, Matt. And I think the realization really hits home as you get older. And this concept then got me really, over time thinking about health span, because in the last 7 months, I've had 3 friends have the zipper, where they have the cardio, the rewiring of the heart. And I'm just thinking, like, God, I mean, I've always been an everything in moderation type of guy, but there are things that we can do and check that maybe can prevent some of these deaths prematurely, like particularly the cardiovascular side. There's some biomarkers that if you get smart about, and that are out of whack. So I really wanted to kind of be the voice to kind of help. And I've been doing that for some of particularly men, but women as well, right? But more men are vulnerable to heart attacks. Women are more vulnerable to strokes. So that kind of was an event. I mean, I'll never forget that.
How long ago was that?
Pardon?
How long ago was that?
2016.
26. So 8 years.
8 years ago. Yeah.
And how much did that impact your decision to get out of the trade finance business and into the health span business?
Well, I don't think it was immediate, because I mean, at some point, you still have to make a living. But at another point, I mean, I think it was just a cumulative effect that I was seeing over time, that there were things that we just get so busy living, and so busy taking care of kids, or so busy just getting focused up, that we don't look and say, time slips by really fast. I feel like, I still feel like I make stupid mistakes like a dumb 16-year-old, boy, but, I'm not 16 anymore. And it's like, really? Shoot. Sometimes I feel like I'm, doing stupid 16-year-old things, right? But, it's, yeah. So I think it was just a cumulative thing, Matt.
And then what was the catalyst for actually making the switch in your business? And so a couple questions. What was the catalyst? When did you start thinking about it? And then how long did it take you from when you really started thinking about doing this new thing for the rest of your life to actually pulling the trigger and putting the website up and running the company?
I think it was a couple years and just educating and getting a lot smarter about it. I listened to a lot of podcasts, a lot of smart people out there. And over time, as I was listening to all this stuff and realizing that just how, even quote unquote healthy people who do things like, I'm say you're a 57-year-old woman and you do a lot of hiking, that I realized that, well, if you're not doing strength training and you're not eating enough protein, right, you're asking for 4 or 5 or 10 years from now, right? So like there were so many gaps, even in healthy people today in midlife, right? Let alone people who didn't do anything. So I just really wanted to kind of bring that to people's attention. So I think it took time. It took time for me to get educated, but I was really interested in the subject matter, right? And because it was personal. And then to make the transition, I mean, I had to into kind of like, I look at this, it's not even a commercial exercise for me, quite frankly. It's a labor of love. I do this for myself and for others, right? If it becomes commercial and in any way, that's great, right? But it's not, I don't view it that way. And that's not the priority for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Very good. Thank you for that, David. Now let's take a quick commercial break so our sponsor can spread a little love with our audience. Mr. Happy Living here. I love good things made for good people. That's why I love Happy Living's online e-course. It's an 8-week-long deep dive into you and the inspired life you want to live. The life you were put here on this earth to live. The one that you and only you can live. 8 weeks of lectures and ideas and topics and supporting materials and powerful self-improvement tools. All designed for you. All designed to help you create the tools and the power and the confidence you need to discover your purpose and to discover the life you were meant to live and to feel incredibly inspired and motivated to decide you will live your life to its fullest. It's all designed to help you create the unique and distinct philosophy of you and your inspired life. Go to happyliving.com, select our e-course, and save $100 with promo code WYTV7. And for every enrollment, I'll donate another $100 to WYTV7. For $300 and about 30 hours, I promise you'll never, ever be the same again. And we're back, and this is the Something Significant show, and I'm your host, Matt Gersper. And my special guest star today is David Gustin. He's the founder of Global Business Intelligence. For nearly 30 years, he's been advising clients in the areas of business-to-business payments, working capital management, accounts payable, accounts receivables, treasury management. But now he's founded a company called FutureFitYou because he wanted to help others be as healthy as possible for as long as possible. And he wants you to know that you can start at any time, but the best time to start is now. And yes, I agree, David. I love that. And I think you're going to love this article that I found called The Science Behind the Power of Giving. It says that the act of giving itself can be a gateway for discovering your reason for being on the planet. So the science tells us that giving our time, talents, and treasures is a powerful pathway for discovering purpose and overcoming difficulties and finding fulfillment and meaning in life. So I updated our formula. Power plus purpose plus giving equals really happy. So how about you, David? Has giving your time, talents, and treasures been a pathway for discovering your purpose and for getting past difficulties you faced and for bringing real meaning into your life?
Look, as a guy that's always been around basketball and loves basketball, you got to ask: do you rather score the basket or would you rather have the pretty assist? Right? I always like passing the ball and seeing others score. I don't know. Because it's kind of like
nothing better than a good assist.
You get joy out of it, and they get joy out of it. If you score, you kind of get your own joy out of it. So so you just have that mentality. Maybe I had that mentality. You have that mentality as well, right? Like I mean, I think the giving component, it just has to be something that's got to be part of you, right? I mean, the Mormons tap it in where they put 10% tithe in as a rule, right? And make it as a rule, and it just becomes human nature for them to do that. For us today, I mean, people can get so overwhelmed with inflation, and I know a lot of people aren't donating as much to certain things because people feel the pressure, and I get it, right? It's very stressful out there. I mean, everything's going up, insurance and food and gasoline and whatever, right? So used cars. So, but it's to me, I think time is something that I'm more focused on giving. Yeah, you can give money, right? But if you give time, you can have and regardless how you do it, you can have a material effect. So, yeah. That's a good addition.
Yeah, very good. All right. So the science tells us that giving to others brings real meaning to our lives. And the joy that we feel from our fourth element of significance, doing work that creates value for others, giving, confirms it. But there's something more to it than just the giving, David. I believe the real magic of life comes when you're giving from living in your purpose. So, David, the audience and I would like to know how it makes you feel to be happily living your life and giving to others through the work you were put on this planet to do, and the people all around you have taken notice. So please sit back, open your heart, and have a listen to what people are saying about the impact that you're making on their lives by finding the magic of giving from living in your purpose.
You know, Matt, I always admired, and maybe I was a little jealous of people that worked in jobs or trades or whatever, where they could see the immediate benefit of their work, right? Like a doctor could come in, maybe they help somebody, a tradesperson comes in, they build something, an artist, makes something, creates something, and I was always like, because the kind of thing that I did was more, less that way. And I feel now, I'm in a position where maybe that's changing, and I can see, I can build something that has more of a tangible benefit to people. So that's really important to me, to see that.
Yep. And the thing is, we don't always know the impact that we're making
No.
as living. So just listen to what some of these people said about you. They said, my experience with David and his company has been extremely positive. Another said, the conscientious way that he and his company go about their service brings a sense of vision and insight that extends beyond business as usual. Another said he's a natural leader and is motivated to help people beyond just the money. He has very strong ethical and moral code in all facets of life. Others said concise, collaborative, extremely competent, highly recommended, a pleasure to work with. He always delivers. Innovative, impressive, outstanding, enjoyable, personable, extremely well prepared, insightful, persuasive, a clear communicator. He's a doer, not a BSer. He's high energy and he pays attention to detail. I truly appreciate knowing and working with him. And finally, this person said simply, he's also very fun to do business with. So,
Wow.
David, how does all that love make you feel?
Jesus, I feel overwhelmed. Like I don't even know where you got all this information. You're pretty good, Matt. You should have worked in my business. Yeah, no, it's incredible. It's really incredible. Yeah, it's good. It's good confirmation. So maybe I've downplayed, some of the impact that I've had. But yeah, no, I appreciate it, Matt.
And moving from you're a very similar pattern to what I've done. Moving from trying to help big, large, multinational, multi-billion-dollar corporations make a little bit more profit
Yeah.
to having an impact on a person's true life and health. That that gives you a level of joy that is way beyond what you were doing before, and what you were doing before was making an impact. And so that's what I want our audience to realize, and that's what this show is all about. It's finding that magic in each of our lives, and it's available for each of us. It's what I believe, and it comes from this great big happy circle, David. It's giving your time and talents and treasures is a powerful pathway for discovering your purpose, and giving from living in your purpose brings profound joy to your life, but also to the lives of those around you too. So it seems that giving leads to purpose, and giving from purpose leads to joy. So you mentioned exponential power of falling apart. Well, there's an exponential power to the happy formula too. It goes like this: power times purpose times giving equals happy to the third power, and that's really, truly, deeply happy.
Mhm.
Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, so it sounds exponential, right?
Very good. Very
Yeah.
good. All right, let's wrap things up with a lightning round. I love the power of words and the capacity for great quotes to change lives. So I'm going to read a few of my favorites and have you tell us what they mean to you. And
Okay.
David, give us the first thing that comes to your mind. Not the first word, but just the first thoughts that come to your mind.
Sure.
You call us a lightning round.
Okay.
Here's one about finance to go with your financial past. It's from Grandpa George of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. And he said, there's plenty of money out there. They print more of it every day.
Yeah, I mean, I worry about the effects of inflation, stagflation, and potentially hyperinflation. Yeah, it scares me.
Here's one about fitness from Jack LaLanne. He said, exercise is king, nutrition is queen. Put them together and you've got a kingdom.
I think I would add that you need sleep. Most people do not get good sleep. Sleep, they say, is even more important than exercise and nutrition, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was one of the great luxuries of my life when I finally made the decision to wake up naturally. No alarms, almost never, ever, ever do I use an alarm unless there's this, airplane or something to catch. But sleep is awesome. This is from Lao Tzu. He said, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step.
Yeah, I mean, we already mentioned that, right? Like we live that 100%.
This is from Leonardo da Vinci. He said, one can have no smaller or greater mastery than mastery of oneself.
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes we just got to manage our own emotions, right? We let the emotions of ourselves get to us and we beat ourselves up. Like sometimes we're our own worst enemy instead of being our best friend. And like I even myself, Matt, I've had over the years, I've had to say I pat myself on the back instead of kick myself in the where, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I
That
think
goes
it's
that
good.
goes to all those the bases of the happy foundations is physical fitness, mental fitness, spiritual fitness, and financial, all those areas. And that's what you're working on with Future Fit You is mastering each person, mastering your own health and wellness so that you can live longer, healthily and wealthfully, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, you know what it is? It's like people say, I always tell people, like there's a friend of mine that runs a cafe and she's just burning herself out. And I said, Sanka, you got to take care of number one, because if you don't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else.
Yeah.
You know,
And yeah, and when you get into your purpose, if Sanka's getting burned out, that cafe is not her purpose. That's a means to an end.
yeah,
And the more she can build on her purpose and mastery of oneself, we talked about this too. That quote's really powerful because that means you're going to be
I'll
doing
call you back, James.
you're going to be doing what's right for you, not what society says. You're really cultivating your life to optimize you. And I know that's what you're working on with your new company.
Yeah.
All right, few more. This is from Witter Biner. He said, be concerned not with obedience, but with benefit. And you are at the core of living.
Be concerned not with obedience,
But with benefit.
but with benefit. I think it's just more like sometimes we try to manage the inputs and then we lose focus of the outcome. What are the results that we want to achieve? Everybody has a different way of doing things. So if it's not our way, because we wouldn't do it that way, that's not necessarily wrong. As long as the person understands what the goal and vision is and the outcomes are.
You mentioned Mormon and tithing. So if you're tithing out of obedience, you're still giving 10%. But if you're tithing out of the benefit that it's bringing to the person you're giving to, that's a whole different matter.
Right. Right.
This is from C.S. Lewis. He said, you can't go back and change the beginning, but you can start where you are and change the ending.
Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt, like, what's the saying? Sometimes that you can't go back and change the ending, but you can go back and change the beginning. Yeah, I guess it's just a focus on you live in the now. You're here in the now, and yeah, you can't live with regrets, right?
Yep, a new client can come to you just as they are, in shape, out of shape, whatever they are. Here I am, and
Yeah,
now you can start to build a new beginning or a new
right,
ending.
right.
And you can start today. The best time to start is today, right? And God said it that way. He said, this is our final quote. It's our anchor. It says, whatever you can do or dream you can do, begin it, because boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Begin it now.
Yeah, yeah. Amen, brother. That's what I say.
Yeah.
To that one.
Yeah. He's a smart guy. A lot of smart guys. All right, folks, now it's your chance to be a giver too. If you can hear my voice and you were inspired by today's show at David Gustin, please share a little love with our magnificent broadcast team by giving what you can to WITV7. They're a 501c3 charity on a mission to educate, empower, and encourage. They do good works with your kindness. David, I love your passion for helping others, both in business, in fitness, and in life. And I admire how you're leveraging your experience guiding businesses to operate more efficiently into guiding people to live more vibrantly as they age. And I'm super happy that you've shared your enthusiastic, entrepreneurial, and encouraging spirit on our show today. Would you please share a parting remark or two that you'd like to leave with our audience?
Yeah, I just think that when I was growing up, Matt, we always talked about like this concept of the golden years. And the golden years meant, you know, you have time and you have money. You don't have to work for the man anymore, right? But they forgot to add that there's a health component to the golden years, right? You could have all the time and money in the world, but if you don't have your health, and you have to sit in a chair, you have to have someone take care of you, or you don't have stability or mobility or stamina or whatever, it doesn't matter, right? So I like to speak in terms of, as you get into your 60s and 70s, the go-go years, the slow-go years, and the no-go years, right? And everybody wants to maximize the go-go years because they think, yeah, well, I'm feeling good now, but the slow-go years can come quick, right? It came quick for that man I found yesterday on the street. So, man, just live in the now, but don't ignore the mind, body, soul, right? And take care of the mind, take care of the body with the exercise, take care of the soul, however spiritual, whatever spirituality that you live by, and make sure you get sleep.
Very, very good. Thank you, David. I also want to thank WITV7 for hosting and promoting our show so we can keep interviewing inspiring guest stars like David and reaching folks just like you ready to create your own extraordinary lives. And most especially, thank you, viewers and listeners. You'll find links to social media and all things David Gustin. Find him, friend him, check out his exercise library and all the resources and articles that he provides to support your journey towards a vibrant and healthy future you. And even find out if you can help provide feedback that'll help him improve assessment and his improvement in assessing coaching models.
Love that.
All the links in our show notes. From me to you, dear friends, I love you and I want you to be really, truly, deeply happy too. So go to happyliving.com right now and download our free mini but mighty book. It's called Making Your Mark of Significance. And once you've read the book, and it really only takes about 30 minutes or so, then give some thought about what we can do together, you and me, to improve the happy of your world, one person at a time. Till next time, I'm Matt Gersper. You are awesome. And this is the Something Significant Show.